Has there ever been a time in your life where you felt like you weren't deserving and worthy?
I Yes, yeah, hell yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we all, people call it imposter syndrome, but I also think it's just lack of confidence. Like we all are looking at something thinking it has to look a certain way when it doesn't have to look that way. It looks the way that it's supposed to be, and that's what you're dealing with. So I think there are times where, because we are reaching so much for our past to look similar versus just embracing our past for what it is.
Welcome to another episode of Around the Way podcast, where we help you get around your obstacles and find a way to redesign your life. We are here with Queen of Entrepreneurship. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am absolutely amazing. How's your week?
It's Monday.
It's just starting.
It's going. I kind of, just to be transparent, I kind of got some not so good news, not business related news, family news. So I'm just like, I got to push through this, because life happens. But I'm here. I'm happy. It's going to be what it's going to be.
I know this is going to be an absolutely amazing episode because you're an absolutely amazing person.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us how you're impacting the world?
Yeah. So my name is Jania Massey. I feel like I do everything, but I don't. I have two businesses. I have a nonprofit called Stiletto Boss University, where we teach young girls about entrepreneurship and really to empower them to own their unique gift and how to give that back to the world. And then I also have a consulting business that teaches grassroots leaders how to have a sustainable nonprofit.
I love that.
So those are the two things. That's how I give back. But I've been serving since I was born. That's clearly been in my blood. That's definitely a part of my DNA.
For sure. What does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Sometimes it depends on the day.
Okay.
Sometimes it means financial freedom. Sometimes it means the opportunity to create a solution. Sometimes it means the opportunity to put food in my mouth. Sometimes it means the opportunity to inspire someone. So it really just depends on the day.
Okay.
At the end of the day, entrepreneurship is all about serving. For me, it's about building that unique community that you provide solutions to make them just better overall human beings.
What is an experience that you serve someone or an organization that you really found joy in?
Oh, gosh. So I would say in this season of my life now, I found tremendous joy in empowering young girls. And I know that's a part of my ministry, but also it is just something about placing or having their eyes just open up to the possibility. Because it's a lot of things that, and not all parents do this, but even with me growing up, my mom kind of was like, oh, you're great at this, so you should do this. As opposed to really looking at what I naturally know how to do and comparing that to something that I can generally make money from.
Exactly.
So a lot of kids are going to be lawyers, which is great, or going to be doctors. But I've also had kids in my program that were great just artists. So I exposed them to be graphic designers.
Exactly.
Or what is that you do? Or just even when you think about how the kids are so into TikTok and all this social media, like you can be a content creator. Like you can evolve into something where you can use your gifts and you can have fun doing it at the same time.
Exactly.
So I think for me, it has just been just seeing the evolution of people's eyes opening and seeing that twinkle in their eye that they want to do something that is just naturally a part of them, which I don't think everybody really... I think fear sometimes suppress that for some people, and then they don't know that, oh, I can't actually do this and I'll be okay.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
When's the last time that you found that twinkle in your eyes or you were exposed to something that was so new?
Oh, gosh. So I can't, I have the answer, but I can't say it completely. But I'm working on a project that it has me completely out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
It is something that will be launching soon. It has been in the works for probably since 2019.
Okay.
It is something that will provide a solution to the community.
Okay.
And it is really exciting to build it, to take all the things that I've learned since I've been an entrepreneur since 2009, to like infuse it into this new project, but just with all the new things that are going on with how you use marketing now, with social media, with how you engage, and looking at the resources that I have and the social capital that I've gained over the years. It's like, oh, this is going to be so dope.
Exactly.
Once I finally
kind of put it out there.
Yeah.
So you've been an entrepreneur since '09, so 12 years. In your 12 years of being an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, what is your top strategy for somebody to be able to build a scalable company?
So one, I think people fail to start at their end goal. What is it that you want? You know, are you looking for financial freedom? Are you looking to sell this company? Like, what is it that you want at the end of the day? Because we do have a thing called founder syndrome. And you can stay in something way too long. Exactly. That is not meant for you to stay in. Some things are just meant for you to start. And it doesn't mean you have to finish it.
Talk to me about that a little bit more.
So I say that now because I know that I'm a founder. I founded all my companies. And some of the companies came to an end, not because there was failure or that they weren't going to produce more income. It was just I had outgrew that season. It was something bigger for me. It was something greater for me to do. So I had to come to the realization that some things you have to relinquish.
Now, what does that relinquishing look like? Does that look like selling your business? Does that look like putting another person in position? Does that mean shutting the doors?
It just depends on where you're at. It depends on your capacity. Capacity is my word, right? I'm going to use it probably 15 times. But capacity, it depends on, like my first business was wardrobe styling. I used to have a company called Ethan and Zoe. I had a business partner. We did great. We're great friends. We've been friends since college. But she started to evolve. She became a wife. She became a mother. Her capacity changed. And the same thing with me. I was growing. And I was like, I really want to teach young girls how to be entrepreneurs. I want to take and compile these lessons that I've learned from Ethan and Zoe into this. So it wasn't that we sold anything. We just let it dissolve. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was like a great run. Like we literally kept all the memorabilia. We kept our trademarks. We kept everything and have it like in a collection box for us to look back on and say, damn, this is what we accomplished, I
really appreciate you saying that. And I hope that people listening hears what she just said. A lot of times we end things and it's like this terrible process. But sometimes, like you said, things just come to an end. And you have to celebrate the journey while also being able to accept the next season that you're walking into.
Correct.
If you were to define what season you're walking into right now, what word would best describe that?
I think the season I'm walking to now is extremely extraordinary. It's an extraordinary, it is so many moving parts of things happening personally and professionally. The overflow and the abundance of it all, it has me overwhelmed at times, but also it has me just like, let me just accept the flow because I've done so much for so long that I'm deserving of it, and everything that's happening is necessary for me to get to where I'm trying to go. Exactly. So it is a very extraordinary time for me right now. Okay. And it's a unique time. It's a time that I think all entrepreneurs are going to experience when they're shifting into something greater. But it's also very overwhelming because you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Literally.
It's just all the okay, wait. So it's just I can only say it's extraordinary because people fail to realize that you can pray for something all the time, but it's really about your heart's desire. And your heart desire is really what God hears. So those things start to evolve and matriculate in ways and move and doors open. And I know people talk about the seat at the table, and it's just like, you don't need no table anymore. You just got to show up.
Exactly.
And be who you are and keep putting one foot in front of the other. So that's what I would say about this season.
You talked about what God hears. What are you hearing in this season?
I am hearing that I definitely deserve it. That's something that I have on my wall that I read every day when I write down my to-do list. I'm hearing that it's necessary for everything that I'm experiencing, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm hearing that I'm worthy of it. And I think a lot of things that I'm saying, you hear more women say that because we deal with a lot more things. It's the inequality, it's the wage gap, is, coming into rooms and not feeling respected. But at the same time, it's something about the power, especially of me being a Black woman. I've never held my tongue. I own what I say. And I mean what I say. Yeah. So I think just for me, it's just like you deserve it, it's necessary, and you're worthy of it all.
Has there ever been a time in your life where you felt like you weren't deserving and worthy?
Yes. Yeah. Hell yeah. 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 I think we all, people call it imposter syndrome, but I also think it's just lack of confidence. we all are looking at something thinking it has to look a certain way when it doesn't have to look that way. It looks the way that it's supposed to be, and that's what you're dealing with. So I think there are times where, because we are reaching so much for our past to look similar versus just embracing our past for what it is.
Who were you in those seasons?
So in those seasons, I remember in 2013 when I really had this breakdown. I still worked in corporate at one point. I was like, this is not it. You know, I know I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur, but what does that look like? And I knew that I had to really shed some things about myself. And I went to Proverbs 31. Everybody know this scripture, but I went to it and I went line by line. And I said, well, I rated myself, you know, am I closing dignity? You know, am I these things? And I really rated myself from 1 to 10. And if it wasn't a 10, I don't care if it was a 9 or if I rated myself an 8, it still wasn't a 10. So how do I become those things? What are some things that I can pour into myself? What are those things? Because I can't ask somebody to be something I can't be for myself.
Exactly.
So for me, that's when the journey started. It started with self-help books. T.D. Jakes, Soar is one good one. I just OD'd on books like motivational speaking, OD'd on just sermons, all that stuff. And then as I continued to grow, I was like, financially, where am I? How do I help myself financially? Broke that down, you know. Then as I continued to grow, got a financial advisor. As I continued to grow, got a therapist. As I continued to grow, like, it was just like, I can't say that I'm bad at this, but not taking the actions to make me better at it. So it's just those things in my life that I was like, I don't want to be somebody that's just like, quoting that Instagram quote or quoting something and I'm not doing it. And I don't have to share the quote either. I just need to do it.
Exactly.
So in those seasons, I would say...
That's a bar you just gave. I feel like you just walked over it. Like, I feel like a lot of people share the quote and they get inspired for the second, but they never actually activate it, right? What's one quote that you've read that you live by today?
Oh my God. So that's a hard question. It's so many. I mean, of course, I love Oprah. Of course, I love all things Tracy Ellis Ross because I really think we're spirit animals. But I will say one book. Of course, The Four Agreements. I still, like, I had to pull that out the other day.
What's your favorite agreement?
My favorite agreement is don't take anything personal.
That's crazy.
Is that your favorite agreement?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like...
I was just having a conversation this morning with a friend of mine about that very agreement.
Like, it was to the point I was buying books and I was gifting them to people.
Wow.
And I was like, they might take this offensively, but...
When's the last time you took something personal? And after you went through it, you reflected on it?
Oh my God. When is the last time I took something? I don't know. Because once I read that book, I was like, oh, hell. Like...
For anybody who hasn't read the book, talk to us a little bit about that specific agreement. So
with don't take anything personal, I think for me, how I interpret it is that people can say things to you, and some things people say to you can be very triggering. But it has nothing to do with what they said. It's what you're dealing with, what's attached to your childhood. So I think a lot of people, like, I could say something to you. I could be like, oh, your shirt looks tight. I could say it looks tight, but that doesn't mean that it's tight. You know what I'm saying? Like, tight could be like, oh, that's dope. Yeah. Or tight could be, it's physically tight. Yeah. But if you're having insecurities about your weight, then you're going to be like, oh, she just called me fat. You know, or it's going to be an insecurity that comes out. As opposed to if you use the principle of don't take anything personal, people can say things to you and you can reflect on yourself how you interpreted those things. And then that determines your reaction back to them. But it's a power in the mindset of knowing that you shouldn't take anything personal to begin with. Because it's more self-worth than anything else.
In the season where you were the woman or the young lady that wasn't as confident, that wasn't feeling like she was deserving, that wasn't feeling worthy of the opportunities that you were creating or possessing, what did she need to hear in that season? I needed to hear, you're going to laugh, but... It's on Instagram. They're like, bitch, you doing a good job. I need to hear that because I think it's times just, especially if you're a single woman, you are thinking about one end, you're thinking about, okay, love. You're thinking about partnership or how we
get things to us about marriage or relationships, the importance of that. But then I don't think people talk about the reproductive side when it comes to women, because there is a time frame. And I don't think people talk about, especially Black women, talk about infertility issues. I don't think, and sometimes that may push a woman to want to be in a or do certain things to get a relationship. And I'm not saying I did any of these things, but I'm saying I am a woman that has dealt with some things health-wise that were like, oh my God, why didn't nobody tell me this? You know, why didn't anybody tell me that I should be thinking more about this in my 30s versus in my late 30s, or I should be thinking about my 20s. But also in my 20s, you need to explore. You need to be free. You need to live life. You know, I think now I tell my kids, like, think about debt. Let's understand debt. Let's understand all these things so you can make better decisions. But at the end of the day, I think there's just a range of things that women do experience. And some of that can be perpetuated by society, a lot by media. You know, we keep throwing social media in the thing, but I do think social media has a lot of influence over how we receive information.
Exactly.
And how it is depicted in that way.
Exactly.
So I think there's just things that we have to realize, that you have to have straight up mind control about what it is that you want, what you desire, and how to stay focused on that to get to the end goal.
When you think about your end goal and you think about where you are now, what is one major step that you're going to have to take to be able to get there?
Oh, gosh. I think, because my discipline is off the chain. I'm very disciplined.
What does discipline look like before you get to that step? Because I think somebody right now needs discipline and they don't understand the importance of consistency.
Yeah.
What does discipline look like for you?
So for me, discipline is having a clear schedule. So when I wake up, I'm meditating, I'm reading the Bible, I read for 30 minutes. Like, I do all of these things before I even get out the bed. And that could be me listening to an Audible or me actually flipping the pages to books. I need something. And I also...
So you want to be fed when you get up.
Yeah, I want to be fed. Because the thing... And I don't look at my phone. I do not touch my phone until I'm ready to...
That's deep.
Attack the day. Some people will instantly look at social media.
Right. Wake up, first thing they phone, scrolling.
My phone is on silent. I do not. I hide Instagram and all my social media apps, so I can't easily get to them.
Exactly.
But also, it's just the routine. Now I've added working out in the morning. You know, I need to get every bit of motivation. I listen to Jeezy. I listen to Jay-Z. Like, I listen to all the things that are going to feed me.
You know, I appreciate you saying that, because I think a lot of people only say that. I only listen to Audible. I only listen to podcasts. I only listen to like, come on, you can still listen to some music that speaks to you.
I listen to Jeezy. I listen to the Snow Man, okay? But that's what motivates me. And then, like, I have times when I'm actually, like, engaged in emails. I'm not looking at my emails all day.
Exactly.
Like, it's a time that I'm looking at emails. And I think that for me, my discipline flows with how I'm feeling. Some days I'm not feeling my best, you know, which is another agreement. Like, you can be the best, you know, always be your best, but your best changes every day.
Your best looks different.
Looks different. How I am when I'm sick, it's totally different how I am when I'm in my best health. You know, how I am if I'm on my period. Ladies, we know. I ain't got time. Like, I don't want to talk to me. I just want to eat, whatever the case may be. So I really assess what is going on. I really plan my day, and my day looks different day to day. But my discipline has a lot to do with just, I started this other process too, where I write like my top 3 things.
For that specific day?
Day.
Is
so
this like activities or like
it could be
accomplishments?
Is my priority for that day. So if it could be, I need to go to the doctor. That could be my priority for that day. Or I need to pick up somebody's kid, or whatever the case may be. It could be business and personal. But if I accomplish those top 3 things,
you won the day.
I've won the day. And I have like a dry erase board before I walk out my room, and it's like top 3 things, and I mark it off. And I start over. So I just have some best practices for me. But discipline also means, like, I write my own grants for my nonprofit. It's grant season. Well, it's been grant season. It seemed like all year. Grants have changed ever since George Floyd. But like now, I am writing 3 grants for next year. I am not doing social media. Like, I am not doing anything that's a distraction to me. I am blocking time. Like, I have a time on my calendar that says grant write. When I leave here, I'm going to Optimus Hall and I'm going to lock in, you know? So I think it's just more so understanding what you need to accomplish and then thinking backwards to how can I accomplish it. Because it's like a game to me at this point. It's like I'm playing Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah,
like,
it's the same.
It's the same thing. So it just depends day to day, but you have to have discipline in order to get through the day. So that's how I look at it.
I read something, and you've probably heard this before, that ants prepare in the summer for the winter.
Oh, wow.
And I like how you just said that you're writing a grant now for next year. You're writing 2 grants now for next year. 3 grants for next year.
Actually, I've written 15
since
the summer.
Since the summer, you've written 15 grants. Now, are most of those for next year?
So 3 were for this year. Yeah, the rest are for next year. Well, I've gotten 4 out of the 15. Yeah.
Talk to someone right now. That's so great. Talk to somebody right now about the importance of looking ahead.
Oh gosh,
because you know entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Quotes around it.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're bringing in for next week.
You don't. You do not. I mean, as a part of my discipline also is taking things off my plate that do not serve me. So
what does that look like?
Like, I have a accountant, you know, I have a bookkeeper. So you look at the numbers, you tell me how I'm doing each month. Let me just work into the gift of working. Because sometimes people can look at numbers and they're like, oh my God, I didn't hit my numbers. And then you're getting too caught up in not hitting your numbers, and you're exerting energy in a space where you could be focusing on what you do great. So I think once you get more and then understand that money comes, like, people don't talk about net 30, net 60, net 90. Like, exactly. I'm waiting for a check, 3 checks. I'm waiting for about $20,000 right now.
For somebody who doesn't know net 30, net 60, and net 90, talk to me about what those are and the importance of being able to work to the check that hasn't come tomorrow.
Correct. So you can have an opportunity. You may be an independent contractor, or it just you could be working with a brand, and the brand could say, hey, we need you for this project. You can pitch, give them the proposal, and then they're like, but you won't get paid out for 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. So that means you have to submit the work, but you will not see the check until 30, 60, 90 days later. So you may know that money is coming, but you have 30 to 3 months where you may not, it won't reflect in your account. So what are you going to do to make sure that you're obtaining what you need for your daily cash flow to pay your bills?
What are a few things that you have? Right? What are a few things that you would recommend somebody? Yeah. So I just started as an entrepreneur. I just closed down this deal. It's net 60. But that means I got 60 days, almost 2 months where no cash flow is coming in. How do I get cash flow? What would you recommend?
I mean, we all talk about passive income. So, you know, now you see a lot of people selling apparel or selling some digital products, which is what I do under my consulting company. And I actually do it for my nonprofit as well. I think a lot of people miss the value of coaching or consulting in a way to where you can literally have one-on-one coaching. I have clients that I coach one-on-one every hour, an hour every week, and I have them kind of like a membership subscription. So they pay me once a month. That's another way you can do it. You know, you can, I think people with the net 30, 60, and 90 days, they do it because it is more bigger checks.
It's the bigger one.
But, you know, you have to really create a true ecosystem of what it is that you can offer. People always talk about 7 streams of income, but don't think about it in one business. It's not 7 different streams.
Talk to us about that.
In one business.
I've been telling people this for years.
I don't know why
you don't have to create 7 businesses.
Yeah,
you could literally just do one and then create 7 ways to get paid for that one type of thing.
That one type of thing. So in my consulting business, we have apparel line. We offer one-on-one coaching. We do intimate event planning. We have YouTube. YouTube may take a while for some people because you have to get it monetized. So you need the viewership. But building that consistency, YouTube really helps you with consistency, you know. What else do we have? We have 7 streams of income.
Well, you just named 5 just right there, right?
Right there, like it's 2 more I can't think of right now. But all of them build off of one another.
Exactly.
So it's not like I am exerting myself or like logging into 15 different emails to try to like manage different things. It's not like that. I think also a lot of people do not, people need to start charging for consultations, because that is a stream of income. Mm-hmm. You can have so many consultations where people could pick your brain for an hour. And
what should people charge?
It just depends. I think it depends on how you see yourself as an expert. I mean, I've seen people charge $25 for a consultation.
$25.
Like, okay. You know, I've seen people charge $250. I've seen $500. I've seen $1,000. I've seen VIP days. It just really depends on what you need.
Exactly.
Because again, you have people. Everybody's talking about being a millionaire, right? And I mean, that is a great goal. I think everybody should be. Everybody can be a millionaire.
Exactly.
But I also think that you have to really assess, what does your lifestyle look for you in that season? You may not be in the season of millionaire. You may be in the season of a quarter millionaire. You may be in a season of just certain things where you build up to it. And that's a good end goal. But also, I don't want people to get so caught up into trying to be this millionaire and they just doing all these things wrong, and they're not laying a strong foundation, because
it's like they're running towards a number, but not setting anything up, not setting up a system.
Not setting up a system, not letting the systems work for you, you know, not investing in the technology that you need, not seeing what works. I'm very big. Test it. Have a pilot program. Test what it is that you offer. Do workshops. Exactly. Like I have people, like the city will contract me out to do a workshop for the city.
Exactly.
Like that is valuable for me, because I'm still feet on the ground. I can still hear what's going on. So I think that people need to have these end goals, but understand that end goal may 3 to 5 years. And some people can't be a millionaire. I mean, we've seen, allegedly, some people. I don't, you know, allegedly. I know people post their numbers, you know, but that don't mean it's real, you know, and it could be real. But
just because you made $1 million doesn't mean you got $1 million.
Right, your net. Like, so it's...
you could have made $1 million, but your expenses $950,000.
Yeah, you like, well, damn, what happened?
You should have made $1 billion.
Right. I'm like, I might be in a better position if I made $250 and only spent $50,000, you know, so it's so much. But I think that the strategy behind a lot of things, I'm a flip chart girl, so I can wake up and just pull a flip chart, have an idea, map it out. Okay, what is the end goal? How to get there?
Exactly.
And you have to do that consistently, because a lot of times you're rerouted in things that are going on in your life, you know, or especially for me, I've experienced a lot of grief since 2019. I lost 2 uncles. I lost an uncle in 2019, and I lost another uncle in 2020 and a grandmother in 2020. And they all within like months of each other. So I learned so much, because I wasn't just actively grieving, but I'm an entrepreneur. A lot of times they think we can't take off. Exactly. But I had systems in place to where I was still generating flows of money. I was still able to pay my contractors and my staff like nothing missed a beat. And that is a sense of freedom that I wish for every entrepreneur to have, that if you need to take off, if you can't get up in the morning, if you are dealing with depression, if the pandemic took you down, like to have things in place, have your life insurance, have your short-term disability, have these things in place, because everything is not going to be up.
Exactly.
You know, so what is it that you have that you can make sure that I know that I'm going to generate this amount of money that will take care of all business needs, and I don't have to do much to get that amount of money. It just automatically flows. And, you know, also I don't think people really rely much on business credit either.
Not at all.
They don't even really.
It's a lack of education.
Yeah. And they don't really think about building. Like a lot of people are like, oh, Jania, you always on a flight. Yeah, but I don't pay for it.
Exactly.
Because I have used my business points. And, you know, I just started learning to do that, but I implemented those things. I don't need to have like a whole conversation and a talk about it, but this is how I'm able to move the way that I move in silent. So... yeah, I said an earful. I don't even know. Nah,
that's solid. That's solid.
But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
If your 10 to 12-year-old self was sitting right in front of us, if the person...
was lit, by the way.
She was lit?
Yeah, I'm still lit, but yeah.
And to your left, if somebody was in their 30s and they were struggling, what would be your advice to those people?
I mean, I would let them know it gets better. You know, I think a lot of times, like I remember we talk about the pandemic, people equate the pandemic to 2020, maybe some 2021. My pandemic was 2016. My pandemic was 2017. You know, like my pandemic was actually during the pandemic, what we deemed like that was been my best years being an entrepreneur.
Facts.
You know, it has been where I'm like flourishing. But I've had times in 2017, things that I had to deal with that I was just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make it?
That's
and
deep.
I think in life in general, not just with business, it gets better, you know, and I think people don't give themselves enough credit of just getting up and getting out the bed and just washing their face. Like
Exactly.
you have accomplished something that day, you know, and just keep adding to it. It always remind me of the movie Women of Brewster's Place. After, have you seen that?
I
don't know how old you are.
I'm looking like, I don't know what that was.
So this is going to tell my age. But Women's of Brewster Place, amazing movie. It came out like probably in the early 90s. Oprah Winfrey, all the greats. Robin Givens was, anyway. And it's about a group of women that lived in this community and all the things that the women went through. Mm-hmm. So one woman in the movie, she had a not so good relationship with her husband. And they had a child. And the child ended up, she was arguing with her husband. They wasn't paying attention to the child. And the child had scissors and put it into the socket. Oh. And ended up electrocuting and dying. So the husband leaves the wife. And she's dealing with the grief of losing her child. So Oprah Winfrey is kind of like the community mom or whatever. Yeah. So she basically like she was just depressed. She lost her kid. So she's just in the bed. And it was a point where Oprah let her be and let her grieve. But then it was a point where Oprah came in and was like, get up. Yeah. Like, and just like nursed her back to health, gave her the bath, like helped her to find herself and not take fault in something that happened that was not her fault. And I'm sharing that or saying that is that you just saw her gradually get better. And even at the end of the movie, like she moved away, she had a new life. Like she literally went from losing a child to being this whole different person that was bright and joyful despite the trauma that she had went through.
That's good.
And I think that we just have to remember that it's temporary. It does not last always. It gets better.
That's good.
So that's what I would say.
60 seconds to share one message with the whole world.
Oh, gosh.
You're in front of everybody. It's going to touch every single ear in the world.
Oh, God. What
would you say?
The first thing that came to my mind was about twerking. But that's because I don't.
That's the message.
Me. Yeah, that's the message. Like, find time to twerk. I mean, that sounds crazy, but I mean, the thing is, I guess my message would be to choose joy, you know, and not let. And it could be stemmed off. I was listening to a sermon yesterday, Change Church with Pastor Darius, and he was basically talking about how not to let people steal your joy, but also to know that God has assigned us to somebody. And when I thought about that, I was like, wow, you just don't know who you're assigned to. So it's treating people with kindness, greeting them with joy, no matter how they greet you back, you know, just being kind. And I think my ultimate, and people that know me know that I would say this, is extend grace in all things. So that would be my 60-second message. And then it'll probably be twerking for the last 30 seconds.
Oh, I thought she said the last 30 minutes.
No, it might be 30 minutes, but 30 seconds, yeah.
How can people work with you?
Oh, gosh. So you can reach out to me. My consulting business is JSM Consulting Now. And that's .com. And you were also on social media at JSM Consulting Now. If you want to look into our nonprofit, Stiletto Boss University, that's on all social media platforms and the website.
That's good. Anybody listening right now, I want you to have grace for people. I love what she said today about you never know who's assigned to you. Have kindness, have grace, but focus on empowering the world, making it a better place. But you're going to run into some obstacles. You're going to go over some things. You're going to have some hurdles. Life gets better. Life gets better. Even though she quoted the movie that I don't even know. It's about your transformation. It's about the transition from where you are in your circumstance, understanding that's not your conclusion. And you have a calling on your life that God has put there that is much more powerful. We want you to get up. We want you to get out of that bed. We want you to get out of that tough place. We want you to choose joy, choose positivity. But number one, choose your purpose. This is Around the Way podcast, and we'll see you guys next episode.